Hello, and welcome to the Grown Black Woman Success Podcast, a conversation about the joys and challenges that come with achieving success, all from a grown Black woman's perspective. I'm your host, Leslie Denman. Let's get this conversation started. I am so excited to have this guest with me. You know, I've been rolling solo for a minute, but my first guest is none other than LaNelle Renfro. Welcome to the show, LaNelle.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. First of all, I need to congratulate you on your podcast. And
Thank you.
secondly, I need to shout because I'm your first guest. Oh my
Yes,
goodness. Yes, girl. I love that.
absolutely.
Yes.
And it's befitting. This month is the month of October. It is the month where we celebrate breast cancer awareness and domestic violence. And we are both survivors.
Yes,
I
we
have
are.
been diagnosed with breast cancer 3 times, and you are a domestic violence survivor. And so, yes, what better way to close out the month of October?
Yes, I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. And we're going to keep it moving, right? Are we
All
not going to
right.
do that? Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So tell us a little bit about you. Let the audience get kind of familiar with Miss LaNelle.
Certainly. My name is LaNelle Renfro Faulk, and I am originally from Iowa.
Wow.
So yes, I'm originally from Iowa and I've been living in Texas now since 2002. So I feel like I'm a Texan, I feel
Yes,
like I've
yes.
been here long enough to earn that title.
Right.
But have, just two beautiful children. I'm married, run businesses, wear many hats. I'm sure we'll probably get into that a little bit later. Out here trying to live and make it. We're all dealing with COVID right now. So just being the thriver that I am, I have survived domestic violence. I also have a lupus diagnosis. So when you see me with that purple ribbon on, it
Right.
definitely represents a few different things that are going on with me. But ask me whatever, honey. I am an open book for you.
All
Whatever you
right.
need. Okay.
Oh, all right. I did not know about that lupus. And LaNelle, you and I, we met through OGU, right?
Yes.
And you mentioned that you are thriving. I like that because that's kind of how I see it too. I always say what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And
Hmm.
as a survivor, I know that one of the first things I remember when I first heard about or realized what it meant, the term domestic violence. I was young at the time, so one of the first things that came to my mind, and again, it was, I'm thinking, okay, why? I wonder why they stay. Like,
Hmm.
why do they stay in these relationships? Why don't they just get out? And again, that was when I was younger, and when you haven't gone through anything, it's easy to speak to it. So I would want you to share and I'm sure you thought that, and people have mentioned that to you, those who loved you and wanted you to, be safe, that, just get out. Did you hear that? I'm assuming you've heard that, but did you hear that? Like, why don't you just leave?
I did hear that. I did hear that, but I am one of the more fortunate ones. And I say that because being that I was exposed to domestic violence at a very young age myself by watching my mother go through that at the hands of a stepfather, I
Mm.
had kind of already seen things and knew that I didn't want that for my life. When it became a thing that I was dealing with it on a regular basis, and it did, hit home more on a physical level in my 20s, when I gotten into my 20s, I didn't let it go on and on. I was one of
Okay.
those types that, when I started dealing with the physical aspects of it, I immediately in my mind started making plans like I've got to get away from this situation.
Wow.
So it didn't go on with me, fortunately, for years and years. Some people get into these relationships and I can see why it's hard for them to leave. There's a lot that goes on in a domestic violence scenario, if you will. You've
Mhm.
got the manipulator or the abuser who is
Mhm.
very crafty at what they do. They can be wringing your neck one minute and loving hard on you the next. So your mind starts to distort what that healthy love should look like. And then there are women who literally take that on. They still are madly in love with the person that's abusing them.
Mm.
So it's a very big catch 22. Then you look at the fact that if you have children involved, if you're in a struggle situation, if this individual might financially,
Mm-hmm.
financially abusive, I guess, if you will, that they're monitoring all of your money and keeping money from you. It puts you in a situation where you're not even quite sure you can make it with, the children and so on and so forth. So you're dependent. They make you dependent in a way.
Wow.
And there are so many facets to why women don't leave immediately.
Mm. Now, you shared that you entered into this relationship and you saw when it was turning unhealthy. What were some red flags that you saw that said, "Oh no, not me"? I've seen this before.
Well, the first few things that I noticed about my then mate
Mm-hmm.
was the heightened sense of anger about things.
Mm-hmm.
First it'll start out like this individual gets mad at you in an extreme way over the smallest things, and maybe repeatedly, where you're standing there like, well, I just left the cap off the toothpaste, and they're over here screaming at their top of their, screaming at you at the top of their lungs, or, just being overly excessive in their anger and unable to control or manage that. Well, eventually that anger is going to bubble over. And before you know it, it gets physically violent.
How do you go ahead?
No, no, please go ahead.
So I want to go back a little bit. You were talking about when you saw it with your mom. Do you kind of remember how you felt seeing that?
I
Because
think
I'm trying to, because it has to be somewhat kind of confusing because you
mhm.
love your mom and then you love your stepfather, I'm assuming. And then to see this, it's kind of like, do you end up loving one and hating the other? Or are you confused?
When I first, my first experience that I recall, I was around 8 years old.
Hmm.
And I think I was more so in shock the first time I really saw him physically hurt her or slap her or something of that nature. This could have been going on for far longer than I'd seen it. It's just my mother was that type of mother. She
Okay.
would have protected us to no extent. In hindsight, when I look back, I think to myself, if this was going on, she probably had it going on behind closed doors, or maybe it was happening in other parts of the house and
Right.
different things like that, because I didn't really regularly see it.
Okay.
I just know the first time I saw him do something irrational, he come home from work and he took a pillow cushion off of the couch and he put
Mhm.
it on the stove and just set it on fire.
Wow.
Well, my mother and myself and my younger sister were all in the kitchen, just right there. Kind of looked, and my mother kind of rushed to handle the scenario.
Hmm.
But the next time after that I seen him physically hit her, he had come home and she had cooked something other than, I don't know if he just wasn't pleased with what she cooked, or he didn't want what she had chose to cook that evening, because she was a great cook. It wasn't a
Hmm.
matter of that,
Hmm.
and he just kind of hauled off and backhanded her. And my mouth kind of opened. And again, I'm 8 years old. So
Right.
I'm not quite sure what's really going on. But again, my mother just hurried us off into another room. And then she obviously dealt with whatever backlash. Well, it became a point where his abusive tendencies turned on to my younger sister.
Wow.
And so I remember waking up one night, and this is in a book that I've just penned,
Hmm.
that will be available in the spring of
Oh,
2021.
great.
Thank you. It's all, it's one of those things, once you get over it and you just empower yourself, you're hoping to empower others to that. I wake up in the middle of the night because the light is on in the bedroom. And I realized I was pushed, like my face was probably inches from the wall. Like my whole
Mhm.
body had been pushed up against the wall. And as I'm kind of coming to and I'm trying to turn over because I can hear something going on, I just am not aware of what it is. Every time I tried to roll over, probably 3 different times, I was forcefully shoved back up to the wall. I
Mm.
remember the final time that I turned over, it's like that's all I remember. I blacked out. So I don't know if I was accosted in a manner or if over time I suppressed that, but there's a time period between that evening, the nighttime hours, and the morning, that is just a blank. The
Wow.
next thing you know, I hear my mother sobbing. I wake up adjusting to the light, but it's the light from outside. And I
Mm.
can hear my mother sobbing. So I was obviously scared to just roll over because I realized that the last thing I was doing was trying to roll over before the darkness came for me. I roll over and my mother is on the floor rocking my baby sister and she's injured. So the ambulance was on their way to pick her up and she had been severely beaten by him that night. I took on a lot of guilt behind that,
Hmm.
not being able as the big sister to protect my younger sister from this scenario. You know, this is a cycle. Domestic violence is a cycle a lot of times that is just
Mm-hmm.
born over and over and over again within a family. I can imagine that there was some residuals from all of that and, you know, just different abusive relationships. My mom had gone through a couple. She
Hmm.
had gone through a couple. Come to find out, my grandmother had gone through a couple. My great grandmother had. So this is a generational curse, a cycle. It's never dealt with and unraveled. You know, it's just passed right along. Yeah, I picked up some negative traits. End up probably dating some of the wrong guys. You know, liking the wrong types, and probably associating the violence with love as well. So
Ooh,
by
thank you for
time
sharing. That was that was
I'm
wow.
sorry. Yeah, we're gonna get right into the meat of it. But yeah,
Yes,
that's just
yes. If you don't mind me
yeah.
asking, and I'm sure you'll share a little bit more of this in your book, but your sister, is she okay? Has she transitioned to thriving as you have?
I won't say that she's 100% okay.
Okay.
She definitely has never sought proper counseling.
Mm.
She's had a bout with some different things in her walk behind it.
'Cause that's a
I can
traumatic experience. That is. I mean, if you're 8, I can only imagine. And again, we'll get the rest in your book. We'll talk about that a little later. But I can only imagine, and I don't want you to age yourself, so I'll age myself a little bit. I'm back in the day where kids were seen and not heard, and even when things happened, it was dealt with more on a family level as opposed to a legal and therapeutic level. And so we end up carrying those wounds with us into adulthood. Do you, again, we were talking about those red flags when you entered into this relationship and you experienced your first hit? How were you with that? Was it deja vu? What happened during that experience?
well, the initial impact was what I had to deal with first. The fact that this individual literally punched me in my face.
Did you have
It
one of
just
those, did he just hit me moment?
I well, it knocked me over. I mean, at this time I was 19.
Wow. Okay.
I was 19 years old and he was 10 years my senior. When he hit me, I mean, first it was the impact alone. I felt as if my head just exploded. Dealing with the pain was the first step. You have to
Mm,
kind of get past that and
right.
reconcile that part before you can get to the
You're right.
any thought process.
I totally went over that piece.
Yeah, there's some steps, levels to it all.
Mhm.
But when again, I just knew that there were things that were going on that were already becoming too much. When this physical situation happened, it was merely because I was asking questions. And I guess maybe one of them was just too many.
Ain't it funny
Um,
how you start asking questions and the truth make folks uncomfortable and downright angry?
oh my goodness. Oh my
It's like you
goodness.
getting mad at me, but you the one doing wrong.
Oh, yes, because at this point we're married, living with, we have a small child. Now I've got my first child even with this individual. When that happened, I just knew that I wanted something different for my life. If anybody's ever been to Iowa or seen Iowa, trust me, when you see it on the map when you're watching the news, just take a really good look at that little spot. Now they call it the heartland, and I love all of that. And I love where I'm from, so I'm not knocking anyone there. Iowa only has so much to offer anyway. And something inside of me from a very young age, I knew that I was going to take flight. I just didn't know which direction. I had these big city dreams. I'm this small cornfield type girl. Okay. So,
Yeah, girl. I'm a country girl too. So hey, all the way from Omaha, Texas. So
yeah.
I get it.
So, yeah,
What
I
was
don't.
your population in your
Oh
town?
my gosh. See, you're going to get me to starting over here trying to Canada. But I tell you what, people are surprised. There's a lot of people that are surprised when they meet me. And my first question is, are there Blacks there? Or we didn't know that there were African Americans there. And I'm like, honey, we are everywhere. First off, you need to get
Okay.
that through your skull. But yeah,
True.
very small, very, very small. But I knew that I needed to go immediately, and that if I stayed there in that predicament, I would be teaching my daughter that. And my goal really was to do something different. I wanted to be the one to break those cycles and make sure that my daughter didn't follow in those same footsteps that I fell into. I knew I had to go.
Was there a defining moment or was it that particular moment?
Oh, no, well, there was some planning involved.
Mhm.
First off, I had to structure some planning because there had been a time probably a few weeks before that happened that I had kind of got fed up with some of his other behaviors, and I said, "Well, I'm going to go stay with the friend." My city again is so small. There's only a few places that I could even really try to go to seek refuge. So he would be doing things like pulling up on me various places and trying to be loud and unruly and just, so I knew that when I did make my initial plan to go, I would need to really be going to another city or whatever the case was. I had to plan it out. I called the police one day when I knew that he was planning on going to work. I called the police department and I said, I need, some officers here. I just want to get what I need out of here for myself and my daughter, and called up, a few relatives that I had there. My family is with a lot of women. See, there's 8 women. So it's not like I could call a lot of the uncles to come over here and handle my
Right.
business, and orchestrate. But that's fine because they're resilient. And that day, here we are packing and loading it up, and he must have sensed it because he pulls up. By
Really?
then, though, the police are there and they're like, nope, stand back. And they allowed me to load my belongings, and I hit the highway. Like I literally hit the highway to Des Moines, Iowa, which is the capital of
Mhm.
Iowa. I've never been back to my hometown since. And this was in 1991.
Wow. So you haven't seen him since
I,
1991?
no, I've seen him because we have a child together.
Okay. That's right.
We
You did
raised a
say that.
beautiful, beautiful daughter, very successful here in Dallas. But yeah, it was just a matter that I need to just be far so that he couldn't just drive to where I was on a regular basis.
Now, well, first let me ask you this. As he's pulling up and you see him there, even though you know the officers and stuff are there, how did you feel? Like, were you nervous? Were you scared?
All of the above. By then, I had tried to defend myself from other things that he had done before the
Mhm.
punch. There was grabs up by the neck, holding me up off the ground, just accosting me. I was fearful of him, and in my eyes, he could beat the police up if he wanted to try to get to me. These are just things that I could imagine. So I was very nervous when he pulled up and just, working quicker to get out of there.
So you come to Dallas. Oh, no, you go to Des Moines. How soon would it be before you see him again once you're in Des Moines?
Probably 4 to 5 months. And it was more so because on my daughter's behalf. My biggest thing again, and in trusting and trying to maintain a relationship with him, was the fact that I wanted her to have her parents in her life. I bumped my head many a times trying to, just keep the peace with him so that she could have that. It got to the point where he tried to accost me on another occasion, in the city I'd moved to, but by then I had had enough.
Oh,
So unfortunately, I had to fight back on this night. And I think because I had finally been able to stand up for myself, and I actually had to kind of punch him in his eye a couple times,
what?
like
No,
well,
LaNelle.
I didn't have a choice but to defend myself because he had me by my neck. And
Oh,
so I really just started swinging, just let me
mhm.
go. And I got lucky enough to land a few appropriately. He let me go.
All right.
And that was it. That was it for us. Like, you've got to stand up for yourself.
Right. That is true.
You
That
got to
is
stand up for
true.
yourself.
So now that you're in the transition, what did you do with all that pain? Because I'm sure even though he's out of sight, out of mind, you've had those moments. I mean, I'm sure your love for him didn't stop. And then you have a daughter that's a reminder there. Did you have moments where you missed him even though you were you at a place where you hated him or you just disliked him? Just beyond the fear in those 4 months. What did you do with that pain? What did you do with those emotions?
It's taken years to deal with that pain. I
Mm,
still deal with that pain. And it's not because of everything that he inflicted, because it goes back to when I was 8 years old. That pain, once it's, just imparted on you, you never ever get over it. And there had been other relationships after him. I did much better. Applause, applause. I did much better in moving on. I remarried, had a beautiful son. There was even so much residual that I walked away from a 15-year marriage
mm,
with no explanation as to why I was walking away. And when everyone asked me, well, is this man hitting you or is he disrespecting you? And no, he's not. And it literally tore, our families apart behind this decision. But I was so in disarray as I was still growing. Like these were things that were happening to me as a teenage mother,
right.
growing into a woman, not understanding what I had gone through, still trying to process, still trying to figure out where I was going. That here I am now married, and 15 years later, I'm literally just coming into who I am. Now, my new mate is a beautiful person, raised my daughter and our son together, but I couldn't even love him appropriately and give him everything that he would need in the end, because I had no sense of even who I was. And I think some of that comes from young women who just enter into relationships too early to begin with. There's no self identity. So
Yes.
that's even a bigger portal for you to draw these people who prey upon you. You're too young to even process or know what love is, know how to have a good relationship, know that he should be praying for you and he should be trying to build you up and you building
Yes.
each other up and having a
Yes.
godly foundation. These are things, honey, that I didn't find
Yes.
out well into my 30s, almost into my 40s.
So what
hmm
happened to, or what did you do to get to that place where you could open yourself up to trust and love again?
When okay, so fast forward to all of that time,
Hmm.
and I moved here to Dallas. That 15-year marriage came with me here. We were here probably 3 to 4 years, and we were divorcing for good. I had to feel my way around because I didn't have any family here, but I decided I was going to stay and thrive. I was going to
Okay.
stay and thrive. Okay.
Yes.
That's where that came in, because I felt like I had been here before. I don't know what, what that was all about, but I'm loving Dallas. I'm like,
All
look,
right.
hold on,
It is
hold
a beautiful
on.
city to love,
It is.
DFW. All right.
It is. And I just took time out for self. I did bump my head a few times here, coming from a 15-year totally taken care of relationship. I was a homemaker. So I had no work ethic. I had no sense of budget. Somebody had taken care of me all of my life.
Yeah.
So I get here and it's a whole nother set of trials, but honey, all of it's designed to build you.
Yes,
It's
it
all
is.
designed
It
to
is.
build you. So the more I got involved here and met people and networked, the more doors just kept opening. And the more I blossomed here. I understood what I wanted to do, which was have my own business, which was be active in the community, giving back in any, different form that I could, because there's a great need for everything from
Yes.
domestic violence, the homeless. There's just so many things,
Yes.
mentoring, so many things we can get involved in. And that's just what I did. I submersed myself into that until God brought me my God-given husband. And I was able to recognize him because my spirituality had grown by then. I had given my life to God
Okay.
and asked him to help me formulate my walk and just guide me. And I literally get up every morning not knowing what my agenda looks like, because he's going to handle that.
A beautiful journey that I appreciate and respect and honor you. Do you share your story with other women with the hopes of helping them to get to that place of thriving?
First of all, I want to thank you for just kind of applauding my efforts there. It has been a journey. I
Yes,
just
you
am
are to
thankful for
be
each
applauded.
day.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. I guess I just look at things from a different perspective. I could hold a lot of grudges, but
Hmm.
the most beautiful thing that this person gave to me was a daughter. That's phenomenal. And I
Yes.
think to myself, even though you put me through these things, maybe that's just what your purpose was. She was
Mm,
supposed to be here. She's
right.
a whole nother blessing to the world. So,
Right.
he served his purpose.
Right.
It was
Okay.
jacked up while he
Be
was
like,
there.
thank you, sir.
Yes.
You're dismissed.
Um, exactly. With the women that I encounter, so I work with an organization called We Are Survivors Foundation. I'm one of the
Okay.
board members for them. We do crusade for domestic and family violence. We do speak, in the city and abroad. We are also international speakers, often from organizations overseas, which is quite an honor to be
Yes.
involved in different things like that. I've even had people inbox me through social media and different things like that, asking me for help from other countries. When I
Mm,
tell you I be online, I don't even know sometimes how I'm able. And I know it's God. I'm going to retract
right.
that statement. I
Right.
already know. Somehow I managed to connect these people with organizations in their areas. I've never been to Spain, but I
Mm,
know that if I've got access to the internet, I
right.
can try to do something, anything to direct them. So, where We Are Survivors Foundation is concerned, we offer counseling sessions. We do understand that the numbers are going up behind domestic violence and child abuse and different things like that. We are educating, the community and asking them to just be vigilant, pay attention to the things that are going on, around you, because you're seeing people a lot less now because they're cooped up.
Right.
They have to be in the house. So whereas the kids were able to go to school and the teacher could say, well, this child looks like he's been jacked around a little bit, you have to check on your people regularly.
Do need to pick up the phone and check on people and just make sure everybody's all right and listen to what's being said and not being said, because it's really sad. I mean, it's just sad. It's just like the woman and the child, like, did you really have to do that in such a
Hmm.
way? It's
Hmm.
just, yeah, it's beyond heartbreaking. So again, I do applaud you, and then my heart goes out to women, because I'm sure if I feel this way, this is probably your heart's ache, but it's like you just want to go and grab every last one of them and say, come on, there's got to be a better way. We'll figure this out if you're really ready to go. And have you had moments where you're talking to these women and they say they're ready to go, but in your heart of hearts, you know that they're not? How do you deal
Yes.
with that?
Yes, I am in several groups on Facebook alone
Mm,
that are domestic violence groups, and where the participants are able to come in and just share freely whatever they want. And the cries for help are just many.
mm,
They're many. When I tell you, these women are posting pictures of themselves, and men too,
right.
are posting pictures of themselves in these groups with black eyes, cuts. There's so many posts that will say things like, this happened again last night. I just want to end my life. Not that I just want to leave. I just want to open the door and go. I just want to save myself. That I just want to end my life. What could I have done to make this person treat me like this?
Mm,
Or there's nowhere for me to go. My family doesn't believe me. Honey, you just go. When I left there, I had a baby and a dream. A baby, a dream, a decent car, and a whole lot of furniture that I paid for.
mm.
And I
That's the this is going with me.
this is going everything down to the forks. Like, I'm out of here. And I tell you what, it was a struggle,
Mm,
but you can't stay there and put yourself in the position that this person may eventually take your life.
yes.
That could happen.
Yes.
So I think that they don't see they and I'm in there typing. When I tell you I'm typing the most pep talk that I could possibly, like, just let me, just call me on Messenger. I know
Yes.
you don't know me, and I've offered and I post in there to try to make it, and maybe they'll reach out. I've had some do it, and I'll put the group in there and I'll say, look, tune in to Where Survivors Foundation also has a talk show that I co-host. It's for women. We're on FMD Global TV. We talk to the masses and share our story and just try to empower and pour into them and let them know, even through the airwaves, that you can do it. It's going to be rough, but you've got to take that first step.
Wow. Well, again, I applaud you. I really do. And thank you so much for accepting the invitation to come and share your story. What is LaNelle up to these days? Tell
My
us what's
goodness.
going on.
Oh my gosh, too much. Too
But it's
much.
all good, right? It's
It
all good.
it is. And I mean, obviously we all, a lot of people nowadays have so many multiple streams of income that they're trying to cultivate. It's like you can't
Right,
stop in one lane. And that's a beautiful thing. But right now, the on December 5th, I have an event coming up called Tea Time Chatter. And it's going to be at the Chocolate Angel Cafe and Tea Room in Richardson. Tickets are on Eventbrite right now, women and men if they'd like to come. And we're going to celebrate just that, all of us being thrivers, because you know what? The Bible tells you that no household is really untouched.
right.
Everybody's dealing with something. So you may not be dealing with what I'm going through, but there's something. Come to the table, have some tea, talk about it, release it, applaud one another, celebrate one another. That's December 5th.
Okay.
I have an event planning company called Divine Events. Obviously, COVID has slowed us all the way down, but we're
Right.
still there. We
Mhm.
did some revamping of some packages that did very well over the summer, some outdoor packages
Okay.
that people could utilize. So you can go check out Divine at DYVYNE.com. I'm also on social media platforms there. I have my podcast and a Facebook group called Life is Potpourri. They are both doing the same thing, just empowering women. And obviously, you can come to the Facebook group and get your daily motivationals and little nuggets to just kind of keep you going. You can reach out to me there at Empower You, which is EMPOWER, the letter U, at lrenfrofaulk.com. My book project is a solo project this time.
Okay.
I'll be a second time author though, and that's super exciting. The
Yay.
Yay, right? The book is called The Power of Broken Things, and it's kind of just that, a testimonial. Gets a little bit deeper because there's been some other things that have happened. I encountered a stranger danger, and so
Mm,
I'll let you wait for the book to come out. So that tells you some other sticky situations that really helped shape me into the woman that I am today.
mm.
The We're Survivors Foundation, we've got the talk show there. I mean, it's just a lot. So I'm open for speaking engagements. I love to mentor young women. Young women are being incarcerated at the same speed, if not faster, than some of these young men nowadays.
Yes, that is true.
And,
Yes, it
and they're
has
just as
shifted,
violent.
unfortunately. Yes, that is
They are
true.
just as violent. So we need to reel
Yes.
them in too. Girl, you cannot fight him. Okay, I know you
Okay.
want to, but you are just not built for that. So
Not at all. Not
let's try to
at all.
try to figure out how to bring back that softness, that femininity, and figure out how to adjust that crown and just keep it walking. Okay, just walk away because that's gonna land you in jail or worse.
Yes.
But that's it. That's it. Just out here trying to do that. Just had I won't say just had my first grandbaby. She'll be 3 on the 7th of November. So that's, I just am
Yay!
loving
My grandbaby will be 3 in December. Girl, don't they just melt your heart?
December what, if I might ask.
31st, New Year's Eve, baby. Yes,
Aren't
so
they a
you
joy?
have been busy. We'll have to have you back to kind of talk about your book and all of that. I may even give some to some of our listeners. And so, again, just thank you for sharing just your journey, because there are so many women who choose to suffer in silence or feel like they have to suffer in silence. And it's when women
Hmm.
like you use your voice and share your story to make a impact and just give other women permission to do the same, that they can get up and that they can get out and they can shift from being a victim to really thriving. You talked about the tea, LaNelle. I heard you talk about your event in December. I want you right now to spill some tea. Okay? Tell me one thing that you wish people would quit asking you.
Are there Black people in Iowa?
And what do you say, LaNelle?
We're everywhere. We're everywhere, honey. We are everywhere. Do you understand?
All right. So if y'all see LaNelle out and about on social media, do not ask her if there are Black people in Iowa. She says we are everywhere, and believe that. All right. How do you rock your grown womanness? All right. Stiletto, wedges or sneakers?
Mm, wedges.
Okay.
I'm almost 6 feet tall. So
Wow.
stilettos, yes, I'm 5'10".
Okay.
Already tall, and stilettos, they're just, I love watching women do it because they just can. They got the walk, they just know how, them sisters know how to wear
Yes.
them.
Yes.
It's just a hazard. I'm already very tall, I'm height challenged. So we're gonna stay with the wedges.
Okay. Dress, power suit, or jeans?
Power suit.
All right. Matte, glossy, or just lip gloss?
Now, see, I can't make a decision right there. You know how we do. Girl, we just, it just depends on the day where you're going with you. I can rock all of that. So I
Okay.
really don't know how to juggle that question.
You got your wedges on, you got your power suit on. What you rocking with it? You get which lipstick you grabbing?
I'm grabbing my mats.
All right then. All
Yeah.
right. All
Yeah.
right. Okay, now you've had a long but productive week. Honey, it's the weekend. What do you do? Do you whine and remote? Is this a girls' night out weekend? Is this a I'm down for whatever weekend? Or is this a weekend with the boo?
This weekend I'm down for whatever. COVID
Oh,
has had me locked up in here, girl. I am down for whatever.
but
I
that's it.
can't
Let's
take
make me an offer, baby. I'm down for whatever. I love it. I love it. And again, thank you so much for being here for Grown Black Woman Success and for sharing your story and yes, your journey. I really celebrate you because it takes a certain mindset to decide to love yourself enough to go, to rise above the fear and what might be and what could be. You were like, you know what, I'm going with what I have, but I am going. So again, I salute you for that. We are looking forward to your event in December. We're looking forward to your book release. We're just looking forward to just seeing you continue to thrive and share your story to impact others. And so again, you can find LaNelle. Tell us again the places that we can find you on the socials.
Yes, on Facebook, LaNelle Renfro Faulk. Divine Events is divine, DYVYNE.com. I also have Life is Potpourri. You can find that lrenfrofaulk.com. That's LRENFROFAULK.com. And that's pretty much it. All of those will lead you right up to me. I'm sorry, if you go to Instagram, it'll be Divine Group, and you can find me there on Instagram as well.
Well, I hope you have enjoyed this We Are Survivors episode dedicated to the courageous, beautiful, strong survivors of domestic violence and breast cancer. Listen, be sure to comment and share. You never know, you could win a custom Grown Black Woman Success Tee. Be sure to tag me and let me know. Listen, if there is a topic that you would like for us to talk about, be sure to email me, Leslie at grownblackwomansuccess.com. Leslie at grownblackwomansuccess.com. And make sure you stay connected on the socials, Facebook and Instagram at the Leslie Denman. Until our next conversation, chin up, shoulders back. Now strut, girl, you know you got it like that.